Ian Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a real pleasure to follow the honourable gentleman. I will miss him at breakfast time. November the 5th is my father's birthday. My late father, Colin Lucas, and my mother, Alice Lucas, were profound influences on me, and they taught me some very basic values. They taught me to tell the truth and to respect the law, and always to listen to other people. And I do that, and that has guided me in my parliamentary career. I want today specifically to talk about the DCMS Select Committee, of which I've been a member since 2015, and which I believe in 2017, since 2017, has shown Parliament at its best. It has worked across parties to produce work which I believe is world leading. An announcement was made last week by Twitter that they are stopping paid political advertising. And I believe that that process was commenced by the DCMS Select Committee and its report on disinformation last year. Now, I'm going to change the tone of the debate, I'm afraid, because I want to place on the record some information that I have concerning disinformation and concerning the government of the day. Now, sitting opposite me in this debate, I've seen many wonderful Conservative MPs who I have huge respect for, and people I've learned to respect since I came here in 2001. And one of the things I didn't understand when I came to Parliament was how Parliament worked so well on a cross-party basis. Now, I know that now, and there are many noble, good, and very skilled Conservative MPs. Unfortunately, they're not running the government at this very serious time. And I want to draw to the House's attention today the serious position that exists on the cusp of a general election. Because we have a general election happening, and we have laws in place which are completely inadequate to deal with that general election. And I just want to quote to this House the words of Dominic Cummings in correspondence that he sent to the Electoral Commission. And I quote him now. It says, "Overall, it is clear that the entire regulatory structure around national elections, including data, is really bad. There are so many contradictions, gaps, logical lacuna, that it's wide open to abuse. There has been no proper audit by anybody of how the rules could be exploited by an internal or foreign force to swing close elections. These problems were not fixed for the 2017 election, and I doubt they will be imminently. The system cannot cope with the fast-changing technology." So the main advisor to the Prime Minister is telling us that the current legal structure for elections is unsound. We are going into a general election which is going to be fought online, and we're already seeing the way in which that is affecting the campaign that we're facing. Certainly I'll give way.
I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way. The ICO is empowered under the Data Protection Act to produce a code of practice for political campaigning, and they have produced a code. Would you agree with me that the next government should put that code of practice into statute?
Absolutely, I agree. I fundamentally believe that we should be implementing all of the recommendations from the ICO and also the Electoral Commission, because the current legal structure under which we're fighting this election is open to electoral fraud. And that is the position in which we're going into this general election. And when I talk about electoral fraud, I want to refer back to some correspondence that Dominic Cummings sent to another person in the campaign for the referendum in 2016. And he was talking about breaking spending limits in that referendum. And this led to an offence for which vote leave was fined. What Dominic Cummings said was that we've now got all the money we can spend legally. You should not send us your 100K However, there's another organisation that could spend your money. Would you be willing to send the 100k to some social media ninjas who could spend it usefully on behalf of this organisation? I'm very confident it would be well spent in the final crucial 5 days. Obviously, it would be entirely legal. Well, the truth was, it was not legal at all. It was illegal. And that Vote Leave was fined in connection with that campaign. And as a result of that, matters were referred to the police and have now been referred to the Crown Prosecution Service. And that investigation is still outstanding. So that's the position. Furthermore, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and the Prime Minister were both aware of the fact that offences had been committed. They were both heavily involved in Vote Leave. In this document, I also have a statement from Dominic Cummings, which he wrote and sent to the Electoral Commission. And what he said was, I never discussed Vote Leave's donations to Believe. That's the matters for which Vote Leave was fined. I never discussed Vote Leave's donations to Believe with either of them before the referendum. And to the best of my knowledge, neither did anybody else, and they were wholly unaware of this issue until after the referendum. So both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster were aware of Vote Leave's offences and are aware of Vote Leave's offences and have not come clean to this House of Commons and to the DCMS Select Committee in producing that evidence. Furthermore, Dominic Cummings has refused to come to the DCMS Select Committee to speak about these matters. Even worse, the Prime Minister will not tell him to come to this House to speak to the DCMS Select Committee to explain himself and to give evidence. I have secured through the committee these documents and I'm placing them in the public record because it is something that should be known by the public in this country before we go to vote in a general election. That information has been withheld from the British public and it ought to be known. And what the British public also need to know is, despite the honourable Conservative members who are sitting and facing me at the moment, we have people leading the government, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, who is in charge of electoral reform, who is not divulging his full knowledge of the position concerning the 2016 referendum, his role in it, and the offences that were committed at that time. If this House is to regain the respect of the public, then select committees need to have real powers to compel attendance of witnesses. Yeah. We should never again be frustrated by a Prime Minister from a witness giving evidence to the DCMS Select Committee. It's been a real honour for me to be in this place. I have loved every minute. I love this House of Commons, and I will be sad to leave. It's absolutely right that we need to respect each other more in this House. But we have to go back to my mother and my father, basic honesty. Nothing complicated about that. Telling the truth. Yeah. Straightforwardness. Those are principles we should all stick to. And I'm afraid the government doesn't have them at the moment. Yeah.